We begin with a Fox News alert. President Biden pardoning his son Hunter despite previously saying he would not use the pardon power on his son. Both Democrats and Republicans criticizing the move, with one Democrat lawmaker saying Biden, quote, got this one wrong.
Flashback.
Only is Hunter Biden on trial, showing that no one is above the law.
No one.
President Biden has indicated if he is convicted, he will not pardon him.
No.
Okay, because no one is above the law.
With regard to the question regarding the family, I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I'd abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
As we sit here in Normandy, your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
Will the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no.
Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Okay, not to bury the lead here, Joe Biden pardoned son Hunter in shocking reversal, claiming he was unfairly prosecuted as a lame duck president. Now, to understand the pardon, you have to kind of understand the conviction. So first, Hunter Biden had pleaded guilty in September to 9 counts of essentially tax evasion. He's owed $1.4 million in back taxes and didn't pay them.
According to court documents filed in June, federal prosecutors in Delaware say Hunter Biden received more than $1.5 million in annual income in both 2017 and 2018, and failed to pay taxes on it despite owing more than $100,000 each year. During the investigation, an associate of Hunter Biden covered the $1.9 million that he owed in back taxes for those years, including interest and penalties. The charges extended beyond his finances.
Can you explain a little bit more about the last-minute plea strategy?
Right. Well, they came into the courtroom, and I think it had already been decided on the Biden team that they didn't want to go through this trial. So the first thing they tried to do is what we call an Alford plea, where Hunter Biden would basically say the government has the evidence, but I'm not going to admit that I did any of these things. Ordinarily, those are not accepted by the prosecutors or the court, and that's what happens here. They said, if you want to avoid a trial, you've got to plead guilty to get everything against you, and he did. Pled guilty to all 9 counts. He'll get some credit for acceptance of responsibility. In this case, he'll hit for sentencing. And he's still facing sentencing on another case that involved his false statements in getting a weapon. So for Hunter Biden, it was worth it, putting this aside, knowing probably that he was going to get convicted. And meanwhile, the judge and the jury and the public would hear all the details about his escapades of using millions of dollars for fancy parties, for women, for drugs, and not for his taxes.
So now you see Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to owing all that tax money, but I don't know if you heard the end of that about the prostitutes, drugs, and all that other stuff. Well, let me give you a quick overview of how Hunter Biden made his money. It was through public corruption and selling access to his father when he was vice president. Let's talk about Burisma.
In 2014, Hunter Biden was paid $50,000 per month to sit on the board of Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company run by an oligarch seeking closer ties to Washington.
At the time, his father is vice president. He also has Ukraine as a part of his portfolio. He's working on this campaign to sort of help Ukraine root out corruption. So that ends up presenting some qualms for people in the administration, and then ends up presenting a lot more problems for Hunter Biden down the line.
Did you and your father ever discuss Ukraine?
No.
As I said, the only time was after a news account, and it wasn't a discussion in any way. There's no but to this, no.
All right, so now, people, we can't be dumb about this. He was obviously getting paid not because he was some great person in the field of energy, right? He was getting paid because he was the vice president's son, and we want to get close to him, so let's give his son $50,000 a month, and his son took it. So this corruption was easily out there. Then this story breaks wide open because Hunter Biden, for some reason, goes to get his laptop repaired and forgets to go and get the laptop back. The person who is set to repair it looks at what's on the laptop and finds this.
You got to a point where you saw things on the laptop that were disturbing. What did you see?
I saw material of a very personal nature. I don't want to obviously go into it. I don't feel comfortable about talking about the personal stuff. I also saw files related to finance and other documents that just raised some red flags.
I know, poor Squirtle, right? Now, along with the debauchery, there were also emails found in that laptop which implicated that there were more people involved in this scheme. And I think there was something like 10% needed to go to the big guy.
In Hunter's business dealings, and he's been letting on. The paper reporting this. One of Hunter's former business associates referred to Joe Biden as, quote, the big guy in a text message. That message allegedly sent the same day the Post broke the news of Hunter's infamous laptop. Miranda Devine, New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor, has got a brand new op-ed in the paper, and she's with me now. Miranda, good morning to you. I think the fellow's name is James Gilliar. I'm not sure exactly who he is, but I know you do. Here is the text. If they lose, honestly, I don't think that the big guy really cares about that because he'll be too busy focusing on all the other stuff he is doing. What's this about, Miranda?
Hi, Bill. James Gilliar is a former business partner of Hunter Biden. He has links to British intelligence. And this communication was on the very day that the New York Post first broke our Hunter Biden laptop stories. And there was panic going on among Hunter's associates. And this was one of those conversations. And Gilliar is just reassuring people that, look, don't worry. If Joe Biden wins, we won't have a problem. If Joe Biden loses, we won't have a problem. They're talking about will the Biden campaign, will Joe or Hunter throw us under the bus? And Gilliar is saying, no, we're fine. The big guy, he refers to Joe Biden. And the reason that's significant is because there are other communications on the laptop about the big guy who had an involvement in Hunter Biden's influence peddling operation overseas when Joe Biden was vice president. And in one case, he was going to, the big guy, get 10% of a big Chinese deal. And of course, Joe Biden has consistently denied that he knows anything about Hunter's business dealings overseas. He said it during the campaign, and the White House has, consistently pushed that line since. And yet the evidence is overwhelming that he was aware of and perhaps involved in and perhaps profited from these business deals.
Okay, Miranda, I am told by those who have access to this laptop material that it's dense. And you have to plow through a lot of material. And it takes, we're talking weeks, maybe months, maybe more than that. But this name, the big guy, the phrase, I was always curious how many times it's come up. It came up with Tony Bobulinski in the interview in October of 2020 with Tucker Carlson. This way, just roll the clip here.
On May 13, 2017, I received an email concerning allocation of equity, which says 10% held by H for the big guy. In that email, there's no question that H stands for Hunter, big guy for his father, Joe Biden, and Jim for Jim Biden. In fact, Hunter often referred to his father as the big guy or my chairman.
Now, it's clear Hunter Biden was guilty of the tax stuff. He pleaded guilty. It was obvious. It was obvious. So, and you see all the mess that's happening when it comes to the tax conviction. But Hunter Biden was also charged with a gun possession charge. Now, he was addicted to crack cocaine, and in the United States, if you're addicted to drugs, you can't have a gun. So he lied on the application to get the gun, and he was charged for that crime.
In a separate filing, prosecutors say Hunter Biden knowingly possessed a firearm in October 2018, despite being addicted to drugs and barred from owning a gun.
So now, Hunter Biden was facing some serious liability here. He was facing time for the tax evasion charges, and then he's facing up to 25 years for the 3 gun-related charges. So he was in some real jeopardy of spending some serious time in prison. So Joe Biden said, hey, the hell with it. Trump won the election. I just got to do what I got to do. He's my son. And he gave him a pardon. Not for just the crimes that he's already committed, but also for anything else that they may have not known about. Here it is. He's gotten a free pass.
US President Joe Biden has pardoned his son Hunter ahead of his sentencing for firearms and tax offenses. The president said his son had been selectively and unfairly prosecuted to try to break him, and argued that raw politics had led to a miscarriage of justice. In a statement, President Biden said he had kept his word not to interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, saying, "I kept my word even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong." President Biden continues, "There has been an effort to break Hunter. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough." He goes on to say, "I believe in the justice system. But as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further." It ends by saying, "I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision." There's also been a statement in response from Hunter Biden. Let me bring you some of that. Now, he says, "I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. Mistakes that have been exploited to publicly humiliate and shame me and my family for political sport." He continues, "Despite all of this, I have maintained my sobriety because of my faith and unwavering support of family and friends." He adds, "I will never take the clemency I have been given today for granted, and will devote the life I have rebuilt to helping those who are still sick and suffering."
Now, it's interesting because Biden sounds like Trump. The Justice Department's after me. These are trumped up charges. This is what happened. If it wasn't me, it would happen to a regular person. And Biden now seems to be acknowledging that's what's going on. All right, so reactions came in quick and dirty. Here is Nate Silver from 538, Democratic operative pollster. He writes in his first tweet, "Voters are smart enough to see through this blank. I voted for Harris, but that's why I believe in democracy more than I believe in the Democratic Party. You're not fooling anyone but yourselves." Now, he's a Harris voter, and this is what he says about the party. The White House flagrantly lied about this. Even after the election, "Look, I could be persuaded if you wanted to tell me that politics is just blood sport. But these people are convinced of their own moral superiority when anyone with half a clue knows otherwise." Now, this is going to shock you, but MSNBC called it out for what it is. Now, I know a lot of my crowd is not MSNBC fans, but I bet you will agree with Joe Walsh, what he said on MSNBC about this pardon.
So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. Nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law. Donald Trump lies every time he opens his mouth, we've been screaming. Joe Biden repeatedly lied about this. The politicization of the justice system, Donald Trump and his people have been screaming. Well, that's exactly what Biden said here.
All right, so real talk, I expected this. I 110% expected Joe Biden to pardon his son. It just made sense. I didn't expect him to say the exact same things that Trump was saying about the justice system, because he was in charge of the justice system. But it's going to be interesting to see how Trump now responds to this in terms of his presidency, because I think this gives him carte blanche to January 6th. I would pardon them. If I'm Trump, I'm pardoning the January 6ers. Why not? They're guilty of sin, and so is Hunter Biden. So I think it puts in perspective that no matter what the politicians tell you, it's about really what they do. And I think that's the key point here. And Joe Biden has always been corrupt, people. He has. Just accept it. It's just now, for those of you who are shocked and who are dismayed like the fools on MSNBC, it just is what it is. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments section, as always. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm out. Peace.